What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Your Miami Heat, they lose 122-114 tonight to the Milwaukee Bucks in a game that was a lot more spirited at the end of it than it was for much of the second half, which was looking like a real bloodbath. It was a really, really ugly game that got to like a 25-point lead. It was not a fun watch for me tonight. And I'm sure a lot of Heat Nation tonight, as you guys probably dealt a lot with what I was dealing with, which was the Bally Sports app, I guess is not working, and all their digital. So not only the app wasn't working, but even like if you have a digital login, that wasn't working. So, I mean, we all had to do what we do. We had to put on our patches, get our pirate links on. And I appreciate everybody who was sending links and all that stuff. You guys are great. I've dabbled in a lot of the places that you guys have as well, but the thing that sucked with what I had was that I was getting the Bucks broadcast, and not only was I getting the Bucks broadcast, it was the Bucks broadcast with no commercials, and it was all in-game entertainment in between breaks. So that was my experience tonight. I go in on the broadcast, and the first thing they're talking about, because I had a tough, it was a tough go to. Couldn't get the Bally app to work. Carving pumpkins, the kids were like, hey, what do you mean you're not going to carve pumpkins tonight? Did like all the dad stuff. Son had BJJ tonight, came home, and had to go to carving pumpkin station while this Bally app is not working. I'm hitting it like 500 times. I'm restarting my TV, restarting the app, updating the app, doing everything that I can. And I'm like looking, and there's some statement from them that's like, "Oh, due to unforeseen circumstances." Fix it, dude. What do you mean you can't give me my my broadcast? Like, what the hell is that? And if that's gonna happen, why can't the Heat like put a broadcast on their website? Like a little do good by the customers that pay. I thought that was horrible tonight. By Bally Sports, that I couldn't watch the damn game today. Really, really sucked. So anyway, I had to go find this pirate feed, and it was the Bucks broadcast, which they're not the most annoying broadcast team I've heard in the world, trust me. But they immediately were belly aching because it was a big game today. Obviously, we had the old Dame showdown, and I think everybody had the same reaction when they saw Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler handshake, which was your heart broke a little bit. And they were talking about, Jimmy Butler was asking the league to look into Damian Lillard's acquisition to the Milwaukee Bucks, and maybe the league should look into him resting the other night. Tell him, Chuck. And so I was like, hey, well, he was very clearly joking. Like, so you could tell. Here's the thing with the Bucks. With Jimmy Butler, they don't find him funny. They don't find him cute. They don't find the trolling funny. They're very bothered by the Miami Heat. And it came across very much in this game, in this broadcast. But yeah, it sucked. It did suck watching Damian Lillard ball out for them, especially in the second half when he was cooking Kyle Lowry and he was getting and ones up the wazoo. That was not fun. That was not fun to watch today. It was still a little bit painful. Now, that being said, I did come into this game. I said on the radio show today, if you guys are fans of it, I said, biggest game of Tyler Herro's career. He's got to show something today because the fan base is a little restless. The season has not really been a fun watch so far. Okay, your one win was a near meltdown against the Pistons. The Heat are a Cade Cunningham 3-point away from being 0-4. I mean, they are, and I guess you could say in the margins, like, look, they're a correct ref call from tying that South. Fine, but let's deal with they're a Cade Cunningham 3 away from being 0-4. And yes, they've been very banged up. In today's game, no Bam Adebayo. But this has not been exactly a fun experience watching the Miami Heat. In fact, I would say what you saw here in the fourth quarter, this spirited effort by the youth, was probably the most fun you've had all season watching the Miami Heat nearly pull it out against this Bucks team that had definite dirty pants getting through this entire fourth quarter. So it was, there was a level for Tyler that had to feel like this was a big game, and he balled out today. He was awesome. He had 35 points, but he was super efficient, 8 rebounds. But the biggest thing for Tyler today, the biggest thing, and the thing that I said in the last thing, I was like, man, I haven't seen the new stuff yet from him. Everybody raves about this new stuff from Tyler, and 3 games in, we haven't really seen it. But today, this Mwah. 9 of 10 from the free throw line today. He was aggressive. He was shaking Bucks defenders out of their shoes. Even ISO'd Giannis there at the end to get some free throws. Tyler Herro was an absolute baller today. He did really great. And honestly, a lot of the young guys did great. And that's, I think, my big takeaway from today is like, to have this road trip against the Bucks, don't have Bam, which is a huge deal. You don't have Bam on a bio. So on a road trip, you had one game with no Jimmy. You had one game with no Bam. You know, the game that you had them all, it was against the Celtics. Very close game, wire to wire. You know, so we can be level-headed about it. I'm not ready to panic about the season, but there are some things that, like, I am just enjoying a lot more than the status quo. And I got to tell you, watching Kevin Love, who may be banged up, you know, he was dealing with the shoulder thing, but he looked like he had no interest in playing basketball today. I don't know if he's physically banged up, but he was doing so much watching of Giannis dunking over his head without moving his feet today. So you saw that. You saw Kyle Lowry, final game of a road trip, getting absolutely torched at the end of this game in the second half by Damian Lillard. And Jimmy Butler, this is the interesting storyline on this one, I think, because Jimmy didn't come back in the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler did not return when the Heat were very much in striking distance, and that's Jimmy time. And especially thinking now, full disclosure, again, I don't have Bally. I'm not waiting for Twitter. I don't know what Spo's going to say about it. But Jimmy was putting something on his knee there, and I got it, like, physically watching him today, he looked like he had no lift. He looked like he had, like, nothing in the tank. And I don't know if we've definitely necessarily seen a Jimmy Butler who's looked like a peak Jimmy Butler. He was 4 of 11 today. You know, shots that were at the rim that are usually money for him were not there. Just hasn't been a lot of confidence so far in watching, you know, and that was very similar to that first game against the Pistons where, like, he was missing a lot of point blank shots and had to get like 8 offensive rebounds. So I'm going to guess that Spo said like something was up there. Maybe, you know, he doesn't want to disclose that and he'll say it was just, hey, the youth was making a run, which they were. But yeah, Jimmy did not play in the fourth quarter, even with that game in striking distance. He was definitely massaging that knee. Looked like he had like either an ice pack or a heat pack or some kind of thing that was by his leg. But that's something to keep an eye out on, man. And so, you know, we mentioned this thing about the whole depth, and I don't get it with Nikola Jović, man. I don't. He only gives you 7 minutes tonight, and he finished a +9, but he was like plus in double digits for a lot of that fourth quarter when the Heat were really making their run. You know, 7 minutes today, 5 points, 4 rebounds, hits a monster 3, and just seems like he just brings so much juice to the floor, man. You know, like a lot, you know, similar to like what a Caleb Martin brings, but like is, you know, nearly is like 6'11", and as you know, he hit this sweet ass 3, and I'm just watching this, and I'm like, what in God's name are we doing not playing this guy? You know, like, I'll bow down to Eric Spoelstra and I'll kiss the championship rings. Do not take this as a disrespect to Spo, okay? But, you know, I don't understand in this, other than age, I don't understand what Jaime Jaquez has shown you 3 seconds into his Heat career that has garnered him regular playing time, played 23 minutes a night, so continued ramped up playing time. And I really like Jaime, and I like what he's bringing to the table. But I don't understand, like, you're telling me like there's this vast gap between the two. I don't think that's the case. And I just think that this team, we're going to really roll this out every single day with the same playoff starting lineup, everybody healthy, of course. And think like this team's not going to get bored. They played last year bored out of their skull as it was, dude. The NBA had to invent a in-season tournament that I still don't understand what the hell this is for. because the Miami Heat played with their food the entire regular season last year and still got to the NBA Finals. And you came back with the same core, and fine. You like your team. That's what everybody keeps saying, right? That's the line everybody uses. They like their team. They like their team. You can't tell me that you like Orlando Robinson more than Nikola Jović. You can't tell me you like playing Kevin Love this much over Nikola Jović in the regular season. You get into the playoffs, you need that savvy veteran leadership. Okay, dude, I get you. But like, this guy cannot be frozen out like this, because in these last couple of games where he's gotten the run, like, good things just seem to happen when you give him an actual chance to impact play. So I don't know. I love his game. I love the improvements that he's made. I think the guy needs to be given the chance to make some mistakes, and I don't understand why some guys in the organization get the leeway and some don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand what the line is there for some guys. And I just think he deserves to play, man. You know, if you told me every day that we'd get to see last year's first round pick and this year's first round pick get to play significant minutes for the team, I'm all for it. You know, like, this is, get those guys ready. You know, this is the whole point. Like, it can't always be some journeyman, you know, undrafted guy. What about the guys you draft with pedigree that you scouted? I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. And I loved watching what he brought to the table. If he would have scored that last bucket without Giannis flying in like a pterodactyl, I probably would have lost it. But alas, they did come up short. Giannis did swat that bleep. Herro nearly had that. It was right to the Herro. And they would have hit that three that would have made it, I think, a 5-point game. They get a couple free throws from Damian Lillard. Lando would get a bucket. Duncan Robinson would get a down the lane floater with like one, to get it down to 6. They'd call timeout. Giannis would get an and one out of the break. Then he get to Brook. You thought they were going to be done again. Then Tyler gets back to the line, putting the moves on Giannis. That was tremendous. Tyler was fantastic. I can't reiterate it enough. Tyler was fantastic tonight. Duncan Robinson hits this incredible fadeaway 3. And then Giannis gets a 5-second call on him. Herro misses a 3 ball. That was kind of all she wrote after that. Would have hit it over Dame, too, to bring it to within 3. Man, those cheeks would have gotten tight if that would have happened. But that would have been a poetic make. But they weren't able to get it. So, you know, love seeing the heart, man. I mean, like, look, that is what makes you a Heat fan. The fact that this team really does never give up. They could have packed it in tonight. The youth really played their ass off. The Bucks played all of their guys in the fourth quarter. They never took anybody out and waved the white flag. This was not like a called in the cavalry thing. They had Dame out there. They had Giannis out there. They got big games from Giannis today. Giannis, he had 33 points. Dame, he finished with 25. Not a big day from 3, but he got to the line a bunch. But, you know, it was tough. That third quarter really did Miami in. And, you know, the starting lineup was just, outside of Tyler Herro tonight, it was just so piss poor. You know, Kevin Love, 3 points. Jimmy Butler, 13 points. Thomas Bryant, nah. Kyle Lowry, give you 8. So, you know, Tyler here, what did he outscore? Yeah, he outscored the entire other starting lineup, the rest of the members of the starting lineup by himself. So, nearly came back. Got to lick your wounds. Tough trip. You know, not an easy trip. You know, look, they're a 1-3. Not an easy trip. You know, Boston, good, very even game the entire way. Timberwolves, second night of a back-to-back. They never win there. Super disappointing that the fourth quarter got away the way that it did. But again, you know, they had a ton of injuries in that game. And then, of course, you don't have Bam tonight. And you nearly mount the comeback against the Bucks. So I don't want to be, you know, a loser and be like, it's an inspiring 1-3, because trust me, I was saying really bad things on my television today. Really bad things about really nice people that I shouldn't have said for a fourth game of the regular season. That being said, yeah, I just come away with, man, it's just like, yeah, you see all these guys, and Kyle's got so many years and Kevin's got so many years, and Jimmy's gonna, have it in first gear for a little bit here. It's just like, I just think that this team needs minutes from guys that really want to win and make an impact and make their mark on the league. I think that's important. And I just think you could see them all feed off each other too. I'm not saying it's more talented. Obviously, you always want Jimmy Butler over anybody, but like the vets on this team right now, I'm leaning youth over vet, man. Youth over vet, and especially 5. He's got to get some playing time. He has to. I just think he needs to get playing time in this rotation. I don't know where it's going to come at the expense of, because I don't think Spo is going to go in the direction of benching Kevin Love, especially 4 games into the season. But I just think he needs to find a way to get that guy out on the floor. And I feel like it's going to be harder for him, because I feel like once Caleb Martin's actually back, that takes out away even more time. This was a game Bam wasn't even healthy. The thing that was disappointing today with no Jović was Bam wasn't even healthy, and it took a blowout for him to even get out there. And he made a difference. It made a difference for this team. So that's enough yammering about a 4th game of the regular season. But Tyler Herro was awesome. Props to him, man. He was great. And seeing performances like this, getting to the free throw line like that, that's more like it. Like that's the Tyler Herro. That's the growth you want to see from him. I'm not saying I expect him to get to the free throw line double-digit times, but 6 times a game, I think that mark's doable for him, and I think that would be huge for this team.